edition of Infield Fly. Talking baseball with you as the baseball season is wrapped up and the Hot Stove League is already heating up, but we got a lot to get into on this edition of the program. I am Rob Fisher. I am a Cardinals fan. Lang Whitaker is here. He is an Atlanta Braves fan. And Keith Murphy is here, a Chicago Cubs fan. Cubs making all the news this week.
Wow.
How about that? We'll get into that coming up here.
Insane stuff happening. Let's go.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. But we start with the World Series. It's over. Boy. And it went quickly as the Texas Rangers win in 5 games over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Since the last time we spoke, at that point, the series was even at 1 game apiece. But then the Rangers win the next 3. 3-1, 11-7, and 5-0 to go 11-0 on the road and get their first World Championship. Murph, how about them Texas Rangers?
Well, first of all, I got to give you props because you're the only one on this program that said, yeah, the Rangers are going to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were. I didn't know they were going to do it in that fashion, though. I didn't know they were going to be so dominant, especially when they started pouring it in, like just with the runs, just crazy. Listen, man, they're a feel good story, man. They get, and when Garcia went out, I just thought that, oh man, that's it for them. They're not going to be able to cover that. And then they got cats just coming off the bench, just making big plays. Like I just got to give it up to them, man. That's a really cool historical team. Like when people they're going to be like a trivial question in the future. People are going to be like talking about, yeah, remember that team, the scrappy Rangers, that. And they've got a lot of personality. I think Lane called it too, is that they just don't quit. They really don't quit. And they seem to just really, really pay off when they have to. It's almost like like one of those 30 for 30 documentaries that they're probably going to be on. And you can always picture almost picture Bruce Bochy I was on my couch and they called me up. And next thing you know, and that's going to be the story. So that's a good baseball story. Too bad about the ratings. Can't do anything about that. Everybody wants the superpower team. Everybody wants the Braves. People wanted the Braves. People wanted Philly to be in there. But congratulations to the Rangers, man.
Lang?
I guess they don't quit more than the Diamondbacks don't quit, right?
Right.
Because I thought the Diamondbacks were the scrappy, never say die team, and it turns out maybe it's the Rangers. I did think it was funny that Scherzer got hurt the one game, we knew Garcia going out that was unfortunate. Yeah. But then when Scherzer comes in and they're like, all right, he's finally back, he's gonna pitch, and then that was it. He pitched the one game, and they're like, oh no, he's done.
Yeah.
But hey, good for them. The funniest thing to me now is that the guy who's won 3 championships in a row, Will Smith.
I when I text you guys that I first of all I couldn't believe it because I had to look it up.
Yeah.
I just said, how many championships? I thought it was his second. I thought it was his third.
Oh yeah, Atlanta and then Houston and this one. So
ridiculous.
Will Smith. Yeah, he's not the MVP.
He's had a better 3-year run than the other Will Smith.
Yeah.
Where's the rim shot when you need it?
Rangers go 11-0 on the road, the first club in any of the 4 major professional sports in North America to win 11 road games in a single postseason. 11-0, just that's remarkable. Nathan Eovaldi went 6 shutout innings in Game 5. He finished 5-0 in the postseason. First title in 63 years of the franchise's history. Corey Seager, the MVP, led the Dodgers to a championship in 2020. Joined Hall of Famers Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, and Reggie Jackson as the only players to win 2 World Series MVP awards. Manager Bruce Bochy won his 4th World Series title 13 years to the day after his first, which came in 2010 when the Giants beat the Rangers. He also won rings with San Francisco in 2012 and 2014. He's the 6th manager to win 4 titles, joining Casey Stengel, Joe McCarthy, Connie Mack, Walter Alston, and Joe Torre. Bruce Bochy's a huge story here. I mean, my goodness, this is a team that lost 100 games 2 years ago. And they come out and they get the World Series win, and Bruce Bochy wins another one, his 4th title. And He's on his path to the Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah,
And
easily.
and what he did with the Rangers, pretty remarkable. This team, they went out and spent a lot of money, and a fun team to watch. I enjoyed watching them, and they just ended up in the end, I think, having just better pitching and just an all-around more solid lineup than Arizona. They were just the better team. And while Arizona was scrappy and won't go away, as we talked about many times, the Rangers just, they played with a lead a lot in this series
Yep.
too. And that was huge. Big
I mean,
leads in the last couple of games.
They play with big leads. They play with small leads.
They did it all.
Yeah, they did. But I just think that they had a better bench too. They had guys that could just come off the bench and just was doing things that you just like, okay, where did this guy come from? Like,
Right.
who's this dude? Getting like, 2-out bloopers, moving mans to third. They got men on the corner and it's like, 1 out. And that's when it all begins for them. That's when they just start pouring it on. And yeah, man, I just think that this is a cool team. They made the right moves. The GM made the right move. Very emotional ending though for the Diamondbacks, especially with their skipper. He started getting misty-eyed and crying when they interviewed him. But yeah, it's Fish. You was just right about it, man. I maybe I should just follow you with all your bets from now on, man.
Well, I am a professional handicapper. I don't know if you knew that, Murph. Game 4 of this series, Texas won 11-7. There's a lot of criticism for the Diamondbacks because Game 4 was a bullpen game. Game 4 of the World Series was a bullpen game.
Yeah.
It took the Diamondbacks 4 pitchers to get their first 8 outs of the game. Why are we in position to have bullpen games in the World Series?
I don't know. Like pitchers can't throw more than 60 pitches now. I don't know. I don't know. But they're
I
working
just don't
on it, right?
understand how we don't
They're
have
trying to
4
fix it.
starters.
They're trying to fix that, right?
Yeah, I think they said they're going to try to
Less
do
pitchers.
something with it. Yeah, when they're going to try to limit pitches from, has analytics just become so pervasive that also offensive players are just too good at the plate now? Like, is it just too easy to hit in the league now? Like, is it because it just seems like guys you never heard of are just coming up and just making things happen?
I think we baby pitchers too much.
He's trying to blame the nerds.
Well, and the nerds are a part of it though too. I
Yeah.
mean, I agree with that. It wasn't long ago where each team had a 5-man pitching staff. Now it's like each team has 3.
Yeah.
What happened to pitchers that can go 6 innings? Where'd this go? We're game 4 of the World Series. We are just so we just got to go with a bullpen game.
Right.
Bullpen game in game
Instantaneously.
4 of the World Series. We're going with the
Instantaneously, too.
bullpen game.
Like, there's no second thought about it either. Like, okay, they asked the manager what's going to happen in the fourth game, and he's like, well, we're going to have to like stretch it out with the pitchers.
But they have bullpen games all season. Like you have like a bullpen game every other week. Like,
Right.
It's not that out of the norm for these baseball teams now.
So to get rid of it, what do we do? Do we have the World Series where we have a day off in between every game?
No, we just get more pitchers.
Yeah.
We should do it like the Little League World Series where like when you advance through like the opening rounds, you take a player off the other team, so by the time they get to like Pennsylvania, those teams are kind of like big all-star teams. Like maybe we should do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
Here's an idea for you.
All right.
Baseball has tested it in the Independent Atlantic League, the double hook rule. The double hook rule. Where the designated hitter, when the starting pitcher is taken out of the game, the designated hitter is out.
So to try to incentivize leaving the starting pitcher in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think teams would still be like, whatever. Like they'd rather.
They would. You're right.
They'd rather like not blow out a pitcher's elbow than have 3 at-bats with a pitcher hitting or whatever,
But there's a caveat to the rule. If the pitcher goes 5 innings, the DH can stay the whole game.
Oh, come on. That's not going to happen.
So
They'll
if the
figure it
pitcher
out.
goes less than 5 innings, the DH is gone. If the pitcher goes 5 innings, the DH stays.
Hey, Rob Manfred's going to figure this out. He's going to be innovative. I trust him.
In in 5 of the last 7 postseasons, starting pitchers averaged less than 5 innings per start.
It's got to be
7.
the lowest. It's got to be the lowest.
5 of the
Ever.
last 7 innings. That's unbelievable.
I was only partially kidding about Rob Manfred. Like I kind of think they'll figure it out. Like they'll do something. Same way they did with all this other stuff they've done the last 2 years.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's something that needs to be done, right? I mean, or does it not? Or is it just that's just how baseball is now?
You got to do something, man. Because I don't want to see people continuously just stretching along games and having like guys you never heard of pitching like 1 inning. Like I need some consistency, man. Just at least get it to 6 innings. If you can get it to 6 innings, I'll be happy. You know, I see too many four inning starting pitching. What's a 4-inning starting pitching? Like what? I've never seen that before in my life, man.
Yeah. Well, no wonder people say that wins don't matter anymore for pitchers because they don't even qualify.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
part
the
of it's
problem.
like teams like the Rangers or the Diamondbacks, who are these scrappy teams. Like, I mean, it's hard to get through an inning with less than 15 pitches thrown, 20 pitches thrown, because they're fouling things off and working the count. You know,
Right.
It's hard. Like I keep a close eye on it. Like Strider strikes out all those guys, and like you know, by the 5th inning, he's usually thrown 80 pitches, something like that. Like he's pretty high up there every time. So
yeah. Meanwhile, Colorado, Milwaukee, San Diego, Seattle, and Tampa are the franchises that remain without a World Series championship. Pretty surprised that Tampa's on that list for how often they're there. They're there every year.
Yeah. Who are the other ones? Colorado,
Milwaukee, San Diego,
surprising.
and Seattle.
Milwaukee's shocking.
Yeah.
Their history too.
Yeah, you figure they would have won one at some point
with Smith or somebody.
Yeah.
The Braves won one in Milwaukee. They did. Like that was the only time the Braves had won one before Atlanta was in Milwaukee. But then I guess they left, and then the new team. Yeah.
So that's why they don't even count it.
Yeah.
It was a new name.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Murph, Nielsen and Fox reported the World Series averaged 9.11 million viewers, a 7.5% decline from the previous all-time low in 2020. Part of the decline attributed to the matchup, which featured teams that don't have large national followings, even though they do represent 2 top 10 metropolitan areas. The series also featured the lowest combined seeding of World Series teams, at number 5 against the number 6. Also, it speaks to the risk of expanding the playoffs, but I don't know. These TV numbers come out every year for every event, and I've never watched a World Series game or even a World Series game this year and thought, just don't know if a lot of people are watching this.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. If you're a baseball fan, you watched.
Yeah.
If you're not a baseball fan, you didn't watch.
Yeah, I don't care.
Isn't it that simple?
Yeah, but also it's about getting baseball prime time. And if this keeps happening, man, next thing you know, it's going to be like on like, you know, some
True TV
network. I want it to be on regular TV so kids can see it.
Yeah, but
I don't want people to have to like search.
Kids don't watch TV. My son doesn't watch TV. He's 10. He hasn't watched TV in weeks. He's on his phone all the time. Like, I mean, if you put it somewhere where like put it on YouTube, kids will watch it. You know? Honestly, like that's all they do is the kids watch YouTube all day.
Yeah.
Like that's where they find it.
Yeah. And they watch each other's channels.
Yeah.
My son's got his own YouTube channel.
Yeah. YouTube Shorts. They're like flipping through there. It's like TikTok. Like it's crazy.
And watch other kids play games.
They watch kids play games. That's my favorite one. That's the one that's astounding to me.
Now, while the ratings were down, attendance was up this season. A lot of that may have had to do with the pitch clock. It was a hit in the regular season. Postseason games this year averaged 3 hours, 3:01 to be exact. That's compared to the last decade when the average was 3.5 hours. So
That's not bad.
half hour taken off of these games, which is good. I think that's good.
I want more.
Yeah.
Make it shorter.
The well, that's what was weird about the postseason. It was like I'm watching the postseason games thinking these games are long.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were a half hour shorter than normal postseason
But
games,
they were
but they were longer than the regular
regular.
season. All right. The MLB PA awards were announced.
Mm-hmm.
Player of the Year, Ronald Acuna Jr. He beat out Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts.
I'm surprised he beat out Shohei.
I think he
just because he got hurt.
That's probably a part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think Acuna deserved it. You know, we've talked about it before. Player of the Year. I mean, he was unbelievable. So no surprise there. The American League Outstanding Player was Shohei. National League was Acuna. American League Outstanding Pitcher Garrett Cole. National League Blake Snell. He beat out Zach Gallen and Justin Steele. American League's Outstanding Rookie Gunnar Henderson. National League Corbin Carroll. Comeback player Liam Hendricks of the White Sox. National League Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, of course.
Of the Cubbies. The Marvin Miller Man of the Year, outstanding on-field performance and off-field contributions to his community, Marcus Semien. And yeah, there you go. The baseball awards. Now, the other awards will be coming out here in the next couple of weeks, where I would imagine Acuna and Ohtani will be the MVPs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah. Yes.
Wouldn't surprise anybody. That's what I'm expecting them to be. All right. Checking out the clubhouse this week. The Cardinals have no news. I'll say this, though. I read a list of free agents, the top 50 free agents.
Uh-huh.
And guys that the Cardinals apparently are in on.
All 50.
38. Every pitcher that's available. Cardinals apparently are in on. So that's good news. Can't wait for this offseason. Braves, meanwhile, Charlie Morton will be back. Braves pick up his $20 million option for next season. No surprise.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Are you?
Yeah, he's 40 years old. You paid him $20 million. Like, that's a lot of money. And he's gotten hurt the last 2 years at the end of the season. I mean, 2 years ago, it wasn't his fault. He got hit with a ball. But this year, he tore a ligament in his finger or something while pitching. That's a lot of money. And, they didn't keep a couple of the bullpen guys and Eddie Rosario. They declined his contract. So I was a little surprised that from what I read, they thought that the pitching market's kind of thin this offseason and that any pitcher starter they're going to go get is going to cost a lot of money. And they figured that $20 million was worth it for Morton for what he means to the rest of the guys on that pitching staff. And he had some ups and downs during the season, but for the most part, he was pretty good. He had 160 something strikeouts and 140 something innings. So I don't know. I was surprised though that they did that.
And Joe Jimenez.
That was surprising too.
3 years, $26 million.
They got rid of McHugh, which I wasn't. I was cool with that because he was the one we called McPoo. Because he was every time that he brought him in, he got lit up. Kirby Yates didn't really do much. They got rid of him too from the bullpen. But Jimenez wasn't great. He had some good stretches, but a lot of times I felt like he came in and gave up home runs and just didn't look so good. So I was kind of surprised by that one too.
Yeah. The Cubs, meanwhile, shocked the baseball world yesterday by naming Craig Counsell as their new manager, replacing David Ross, who had been the manager of the last 4 seasons and went 262 and 284. Not only hiring former Brewers skipper, but hiring him to a 5-year, $40 million contract, the highest paid manager in all of baseball. Murph, when you heard the news, what was your reaction?
Well, in terms of Ross getting the hook, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked. Lineup issues. That was the issue with him. That's what did him in. A lot of fans were just questioning the way that he would position players, and in a lineup, and it just didn't really make any sense. He would play people that didn't really make sense with this pitcher that was pitching, or it just was a weird. He did too much of that feel type of old school, tobacco chewing type of pitching style, where it's like, managing style, where it's like he always went with his gut, and that's cool to do, but you got to also give the eggheads a little say too. You want to balance it out. You don't want to go too heavy with it. In terms of that contract, that's what shocked me. I don't know what was behind that. I don't know if the guy kept saying no, and it would just the prices kept going up. So
he had mentioned that if he would give Milwaukee the chance to match any offer. And I guess the Cubs, knowing that, were like, all right, well, we'll make you the highest paid manager in the game by far. I mean, Brewers apparently offered $5 million, which would have made him the highest paid manager. And the Cubs came back and said, we'll give him $8 million.
Yeah, I don't get any of that. I hope he works out. He was great for Milwaukee. He did some things with that team that nobody thought that they would, people don't really think they were going to be that great. It was always like, oh yeah, they'll be third, they'll be second. They just kept cruising along. But all of that money, man, that just tells me that the Cubs are just I think they're serious about winning. I think that they figured it out. Like, we got a lineup, we got to get some pitching, and we got to get a manager that kind of knows what to do with lineups and pitchers. So we'll see how that goes.
Didn't he win? He won one playoff series the whole time he was in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah. Yes, but the reason that because he was doing a lot of rebuilding too when he first got there. Right. When he got the team, when he got the team rolling, they were dominant, Lang. I mean, that team was
in the regular season.
Well, yeah, in the regular season, but
you just got to get there, Lang.
Well, listen, and also let's keep it real too. The Cubs' bank account is just much bigger, faster than Milwaukee. Like, we are a national team. Like, we should be in the playoffs every year, just like the Braves. Like, there should be no reason why the Cubs should not always be in the playoffs. But we'll see what Ricketts do. We'll see what the franchise does. But that was a good move. I think next you gotta bring the truck to Cody. Bring the truck. Just back it up. Just give him what he wants, man.
I think what did David Ross in was that Craig Counsell was available, and the Cubs did go all out to get what they, because I don't think Ross was necessary. This apparently just happened over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it did.
Because Counsell had to notify the Brewers by November 1st if he was going to speak to other teams, and he never mentioned the Chicago Cubs. So it happened over the last couple of days that all of a sudden he's their manager. And with the contract and the money they gave him, what that would tell me, Murph, if I'm a Cubs fan, I'm thinking to myself, we're going all in.
Yes.
With our manager, we better be going all in with players. That means Cody Bellinger better sign. That means let's go after Shohei. That means
they're going
after everybody available.
So all in with the manager, and they're going to go cheap with the players and say, all right,
don't do that.
We need you to manage these guys. Let's earn your money, manager.
Come on, don't be a bummer, man.
I'm just saying that, like, maybe that's the way
it could be, but I just don't think that. Whenever you ever heard of a team, even like the worst teams, right, that spend a lot on managers, usually they try to do a lot on free agents. Like, look at the Mets. Yeah. Look at the Mets. When they get in, a big time manager, what they would do sometimes, they would spend a lot on free agency. Now, it didn't work for them. They didn't make the right moves, but at least they tried to spend money. And I think that's what the Cubs are going to do. You just don't give all that money to a manager without spending money on a team.
Yeah. And again, I don't think this was the plan back in early October. Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts back in early October, discussing the season, pointed out how David Ross got the team to turn things around after falling 10 games under 500, and said, Rossi had a great season. The players play hard for him. He's our guy. He's a great manager. And now he's on the job.
Remember I made that joke? I made the joke, Fish, that's the kiss of death. Whenever you see that. And I was like, whenever an owner comes out of the mouth and says something like that, it's something going on. But I think you're right. I don't think they had any inkling that they were going to fire him. I didn't even think they gave it a thought. They just knew that,
I
Drew
read a
was available and that
story
was it.
today. I don't remember where. I think it was in the Athletic about how this is what they did when they hired Joe Madden, because they had Renteria was the manager,
Right.
and then like Madden became available, and they just fired Renteria and hired Madden. Like
Yeah.
I don't think they would have gone like if Craig Counsell wasn't available, David Ross would be the manager of the Cubs next year. But he became available, and
hopefully it goes the same way with Madden. Maybe we might see another World Series.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got tired of
the
Madden
wish.
though. They ran him out of there.
Yeah, they ran him out. He's too quirky for their taste. He got a little too big.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's an exciting day for a Cubs fan. I do. I because I think that's it. I mean, hell, if the Cardinals would have done something like this, I'd be jumping for joy today.
Oh,
and
yeah,
just thinking, oh
that.
yes, here we go. Let's go Cardinals.
Right.
I mean, I think it's a big move. And it was a good week for the Cubs. Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ all winning Gold Gloves. Kyle Hendricks will be back for another year. Team exercised his option. Marcus Stroman opted out of the final year of his contract.
Listen to me. I said this online. His agent needs to fire him because he's leaving $20 million on the table, right? Yep. After the season that he had, you think somebody's gonna like just give him the money that, because he wants elite pitching money.
I mean, Charlie Morton got $20 million.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but that's once I'm saying he wants like a long-term deal where he's getting elite pitching money, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get that. That's all I'm saying. I mean, maybe because there's a low. There's a low. Just brought
me a Grizzly bucket hat.
I know, right?
Nice.
Look at that.
While I was sitting there.
Look at
one of those.
But yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Cody Bellinger will test the market, declining half of $25 million mutual option with the Cubs. Cubs will pay Bellinger a $5 million buyout after he declined the option. They do give him a qualifying offer of $20.3 million, but he will likely decline that. Bellinger sent out an Instagram post that said, to the fans, teammates, organization, thank you for an unforgettable season from my family and I. Oh, no. Is that goodbye, Murph?
See you later.
Listen, it's a
he show me the money. I'm out.
It's a show me the money. It's a show me the money league. If the Cubs give him what he wants, he'll be back.
Go delete the post.
He'll be back. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't appreciate that post though. I saw that. I
saw that and I thought of you. I was like, oh no,
I think he's just covering his he's just covering his bases. He's just
Yeah, but you don't do stuff like that. You just say thank you for,
or maybe he knows something.
A great season.
Maybe he knows.
I mean, maybe he does,
they're going to invest in the manager and go cheap with the players. Maybe he knows he's ahead of us.
Yeah.
It'd be tough.
Hey, want to remind everyone, get back to the grind of the next Memphis Grizzlies home game. That's this Wednesday at 7 p.m. when your Grizzlies host the Miami Heat. For State of Tennessee HBCU Day, presented by Pinnacle Financial Partners. To purchase your tickets or for more information, open the Grizzlies mobile app or call 901-888-HOOP today. Also, you can tune in to watch that game on Valley Sports Southeast and Valley Sports Plus at 7 p.m. Presented by FanDuel. Fans will want to tune in early at 6:30 for Grizzlies Live, presented by Ford and your Mid-South Ford dealers, featuring Pete Pranica, Brevin Knight, Chris Vernon, and myself. Check local listings in Grizzlies.com for channel guide.
I prefer the post-game show.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. For the hosts, you like the hosts of the show?
I said I prefer the post-game show.
Oh, yeah, you're on that post-game
because I'm on the
show.
Post-game show.
That's right. That's right. The New York Mets have hired a new manager. Carlos Mendoza, Yankees bench coach, is now the new manager of the Mets.
The Mendoza line.
Does that excite anybody?
I mean, Yankees fans are pissed. So I guess it was a good move.
So I did some research this morning. He's 43 years old, 44 years old, younger, never managed. And he was like the Yankees, like the development guy. Like he was like the the guy who worked with the younger players, and turned into all those young Yankees players into stars.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Who do they have?
Volpe.
Yeah. I don't know anything about him. They said he coached with the Venezuelan team in the World Baseball Classic, so that's Acuna and those guys. But I don't know anything about him. But it is different. Like the last couple Mets managers have been like big name guys, like Beltran, Showalter. So
Thought Counsell was going to be the guy.
Yeah. So for once the Mets are like not going big name, big money guys.
Yeah. The Miami Marlins hired Tampa Rays general manager Peter Bendix is their new president of baseball operations. Also, outfielder Jorge Soler opted out of the final year of his contract with the Marlins to become a free agent, gave up $13 million salary for 2024. Maybe he'll return to the Braves, Jorge Soler.
Yeah, they need a left fielder. We don't have a left fielder anymore. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Joey Votto hits the free agent market after the Reds said no dice. $20 million option for 2024. The Reds say they will move on. I thought the statement from the Reds was a good one. I mean, a lot of times a player like that who's been such a, he's a Cincinnati Red lifer. And a lot of times when you get a statement, when a move like that is made, it's pretty much BS. But their statement I thought was pretty good. They just said, with the development of our team and the future of our team, we just don't have a spot to play him. And we want to give him the opportunity to play somewhere else if that's what he wants to do. I mean, he had 200 last year for a team that's young. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So they declined his $20 million option. The option did carry a $7 million buyout. Votto had an emotional goodbye to Cincinnati on Twitter. It'll be interesting to see if he's picked up somewhere.
I'll take him.
Would you?
Yeah, just let him be a bench player. Like, seems like everything. I mean, you've seen it on when he's
Good
on
locker room
MLB
guy.
Network. Yeah, it seems like an awesome dude. Like I'd like to have him around.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere there's an NFL running back crying, looking at that salary.
Yeah.
Like, what is the bench guy just cleared 20 million, like easy, like
Yeah.
Just got 7 for not being signed.
Yeah. Like come on, man. Meanwhile, these cats are just getting their brains beaten in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Meanwhile, the Dodgers free agent starting pitcher Clayton Kershaw underwent shoulder surgery. He's not expected to pitch again until next summer.
Wow.
Yeah. He may retire.
Wants to come back. I saw.
That's big. That's big.
Yeah. So he's going to be out for a while. They also declined the option on right-hander Lance Lynn. Chose to pay him a $1 million buyout, but they could re-sign him for less than that $18 million. Max Muncy agreed to a 2-year, $24 million contract extension with the Dodgers. 2-year, $24 million for a guy who hits 200 and 40 bombs.
Put him at leadoff.
Yeah, no kidding. San Francisco left-hander Sean Manaea has opted out of his contract with the Giants. He becomes a free agent. Right-hander Alex Cobb underwent surgery on his left hip. He hopes to return by May for San Francisco. San Diego's Nelson Cruz, 43 years old, retiring from Major League Baseball. Retires with 464 homers under his belt after an impressive 19-year career that included stints with 8 teams. 464 homers, ranks 37th all-time, one behind Dave Winfield. He's a 7-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, received MVP votes on 6 different occasions, finishing 6th in both 2015, 2020. Nelson Cruz, Hall of Famer.
I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking about that the whole time you were talking. Like
Strange.
I had no idea he had that many home runs. So I saw it.
I saw
a news story when he retired, and I was like, "What?"
If he would have got one MVP, I think he'd be a shoo-in.
Yeah.
All he needed is one. Because with those numbers match up pretty well with people that have made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the MVPs.
Yeah. 7-time All-Star. I didn't know he was a 7-time All-Star either.
How many is it? 460?
64.
Yeah, I'm looking at like the guys around him. How do you tell which ones are in the Hall of Fame? Okay, the guys with the he's 37. I mean, the guys directly ahead of him are Dave Winfield, Chipper Jones, Carlos Delgado, who's not in the Hall of Fame, Willie Stargell, Stan Musial, Adrian Beltre, who's not in, Fred McGriff, Lou Gehrig, Eddie Murray. All those guys are in. And behind him are Carl Yastrzemski, Jeff Bagwell, Vladimir Guerrero. All those guys are in.
Yeah.
I mean, if Fred McGriff got in, and he never won an MVP, right?
No.
So there's hope for him. You can kind of cite that.
He might be one of those veteran committee guys, you know.
Yeah.
I think he'll get in eventually. Boston infielder Justin Turner declined his $13.5 million player option for 2024. He becomes a free agent. Cleveland Guardians have hired Stephen Vogt as their new manager. He spent the 2023 season as the bullpen and quality control coach for the Mariners. Retired as a player following 2022, spent years as a bullpen and quality control coach, and is now the manager of the Cleveland Guardians.
He was on the Braves a couple of years ago, and everybody loved him. Like, you know, he wasn't a very good player, but all the players loved him. All you heard about was what a great clubhouse guy he was.
Right. So. The White Sox, this was surprising news this week, although maybe not. They declined a $14 million club option for Tim Anderson. He received a $1 million buyout, becomes a free agent after spending his entire 8-year career with the White Sox. I think, Murph, that Tim Anderson was a problem on that team.
Yes, he was.
I mean, they talk about leadership being crappy in Chicago. It starts with Tim Anderson.
It's sad, too, because from just a talent standpoint, that dude was a pretty damn good player. It's just that he just did not get along with those young players. He was just a bad influence. He was like he's always grumpy, always complaining about stuff. Like he's just not one of those guys you want to be on the team. Now maybe he can, go to another squad, turn it all around, and next thing you know, it's going to be, oh wow, look at the changes this guy made. He really wants to be a team guy, but he was terrible, man, at the last two or 3 years with the Sox.
Yeah. They also declined the option on closer Liam Hendricks, $15 million club option there. And Detroit left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez opted out of the remaining 3 years of his contract, was reportedly discussing a restructured deal with the Tigers before his opt-out. He leaves $49 million on the table to go test free agency. How about that? And the big news of this offseason, which is now underway, Shohei Ohtani. Where will he land in free agency? CBSSports.com did the story. Here's where the teams land. Tier 5. There are 5 tiers.
Yep.
Tier 5, not happening. Not going to Oakland, Kansas City, the White Sox, Colorado, Pittsburgh, Washington, or Miami. They're all out. Long shots. Guardians, Brewers, Rays, Orioles, Tigers, and they have the Angels as a long shot. See, I thought the Angels would be a favorite, but they put them in as a long shot. 4 teams on the maybe: the Twins, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, and the Padres on maybe. Should be looking at him: Cincinnati, Boston, and Philadelphia. And then the serious suitors. Here are the top 10 serious suitors for Shohei Ohtani. Number 10, the Houston Astros. Number 9, the New York Yankees. Number 8, the Atlanta Braves. It says one advantage of having your entire core locked up is that you can back up the Brinks truck when Ohtani becomes having to put Ozuna in left field full-time would be suboptimal, though Ozuna only has a year remaining on his contract. Braves could make it work for 1 season. Ohtani wants to join a contender, and no team is set up to contend long-term, as well as Atlanta. So they have them number 8.
Wait, but where would they put? Did just let Ohtani DH?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Toronto at number 7. Number 6, Seattle. Number 5, the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are on the upswing and at the point in the transition out of the rebuild where they should spend on free agents, and there's no better free agent to spend on than Ohtani. There's no one standing in the way at DH, and it'll be easy to slot him back into the rotation in 2025. They opened the wallet for Swanson last offseason. They struck 1-year contract gold with Bellinger. Are they prepared to take the next step and give Ohtani a record contract? Is there a good reason not to beyond it's risky? I don't see one. Ooh.
The only issue, and I brought it up, fellas, is he ever going to pitch again at his level?
Is he ever going to be a starting pitcher at that level?
Yeah, like what are we talking about? We're talking about a guy that can just come in and maybe do a few things, but I'll give him the money because just as an offensive player by itself, the guy's phenomenal. Like he's going to give you 39, 40 bombs easy. So on that alone, I would back up the Brinks truck on that. But his agent, his team, they're like telling other teams, we want him to pitch. We want him to be a starting pitcher as well. So I think that's the issue. That might be the issue for a lot of teams.
Should teams be scared of a 10-year contract for a 29-year-old who has his second Tommy John surgery?
Yes. Yes.
Except he can hit. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Aaron Judge got that kind of contract, right?
But you're going to be paying him to hit and
right. That's the point, Lane.
Maybe you can pay him, but maybe you pay him a little bit. Maybe I wonder. Maybe somebody's going to pay him for both. But I wonder if he gets a little bit less than he would have 2 months ago.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that money works out because it was $500 million easy.
Yeah.
Oh,
it'd still be.
I mean, people are saying 500 to 750.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how high it actually lands, but he is a once in a generation talent for sure, especially if he can pitch. The other contenders on that list, number 4, the Texas Rangers, 3, the San Francisco Giants, 2, the New York Mets, and number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are the favorite to land Ohtani. But see, that's another thing. Like a team like the Dodgers, it's win right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting a pitcher that's not able to pitch. I mean,
yeah.
So the Dodgers already have this unbelievable world-class lineup. They just weren't able to pitch.
I like them, but just keep an eye on San Francisco. That's the team to me.
Yeah,
that's the team that seems like they would make a lot of sense for him to go to because they're not in the win now mode. They're still kind of trying to find their way with the lineup and see what they can do. And I think he'd be perfect for that franchise. Be perfect for that city.
I'll take it.
Maybe perfect for St. Louis. Come to St. Louis. You'd be perfect. Yeah. Cardinals need pitching. We'll let you pitch this year, even with the Tommy John surgery.
He gonna hit the man's arms gonna be hanging out.
We'll let you pitch underhand.
Yeah. Throw left-handed. We're fine. Go ahead. Do that. Oh man. All right. Well, we got that to watch this offseason. That's the big story to watch this offseason. A lot of news happening already here in this first week of free agency. We will have a show for you again soon. We won't be on every week here in the offseason, but we'll be on occasionally, sporadically, soon throughout the offseason, updating you on the Hot Stove League and free agency and things of that nature. So we'll be back with you again soon. Murph, exciting times for your Cubs, Murph. It's been a good first start of this Hot Stove League for the Cubs, I think.
Yeah, listen, man. You know how I felt about Ross. I wasn't the biggest fan, but I don't like to see anybody get fired. But if Counsell can come in and do his thing, then hey, man, let's see what happens.
I don't like to see anybody get fired except for David Ross.
Except for David Ross. Yeah.
I mean, the question is, Fish, is like, seriously, all jokes aside, your team was trash this season, right?
Trash.
So, pitching wise, out of all of the free agents that we named, just pitchers, who are you guys targeting? Like, what's happening in the news? Wow.
Zach Wheeler, grew up in St. Louis, or Michael Lorenzen, maybe one of the Phillies pitchers grew up in St. Louis. I think it was Lorenzen. Grew up in St. Louis, so they feel like they can get him.
Interesting.
Here's how I feel about my offseason. I saw this written about the Cardinals the other day. It said the Cardinals will be in on every starting pitcher that's available. The only problem is they could sign 5 of them and it still may not help. And I was like, oh my God, great. Because they need 5 of them. Yeah. They got to go get at least 3 starting pitchers this offseason, at least. And could still use another bat in the lineup. So yeah, it's depressing. It's depressing being a
I mean, you can
Cardinals
use the
fan.
Rangers as
Nolly
a
Marmol's
template.
our manager, so that's good.
You can use the Rangers as a template, though. They
We
were kind of
have to go get people.
But that's what they did, though, didn't they? When
Yeah.
they have like one of the worst franchises a year and a half ago, and they was just
They went and got
Next
people.
thing you know, they got all these pitchers.
They went and
coming
got Bruce
in.
Bochy.
Yeah, they got Bochy. Love to do that. And they went out and got some good players too. Cardinals need to do that. Yeah, they're in on them. They're in on them. My favorite phrase of the offseason. They're in on them.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Lang, your Braves, not much to do there, right? Everybody's already signed.
Got to get a left fielder and we need like one more pitcher. Just a
Starter?
starter. I'll take like a Sonny Gray level, just somebody who can eat up a lot of innings. That's the main thing they need.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll do about left field. I don't know. Maybe Vaughn Grissom. They might throw him out there. He's never played left field in his life, but he batted 300 in AAA. So I don't know.
Yeah, I saw something this week about Vaughn Grissom being a candidate to be traded.
Yeah, or that's the other thing. You trade him and get a pitcher or somebody. So
yeah. All right. Well, that'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Infield Fly. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again soon to talk about the Hot Stove League in Major League Baseball. For Lang, for Murph, I'm Fish. Thanks for joining us here on Infield Fly. We'll talk to you again real soon here on Grind City Media.